Charles Krauthammer is a writer and a columnist and one of the finer fruits of Western civilization, if we can say that. He joins us tonight. Charles, what did you make of this speech?
Well, I'm actually working on a symphony, so I'll let you know. Look, I thought that was the best speech ever.
Not your first.
No, it will be my unfinished symphony, that's for sure. Look, this is the best speech he's given. It was very Reaganesque. I read the we as not just the United States. It was not so much a speech about American exceptionalism. He kept saying we and you, the Poles, and largely meaning the Europeans, the West. This was a defense of the West. And that's what made it so unusual for Trump. This is the antithesis of his inaugural address, which was about America. He didn't speak about the free world. He spoke about our allies as parasites in that speech. This was a complete overturning of that. This was a return to traditional American universalism, leading the community of nations, meaning NATO, the West, Europe, including, of course, a lot of East Asia, other places as well. And by taking on the mantle of leadership, basically expanding the meaning of Americanism to go beyond our shores, I think it was a huge step and extremely significant.
What was so interesting about it, from my perspective, was not his attack on Islamic extremism, which I think is warranted and good for him for saying so out loud, but identifying the rot within American culture and saying if we don't believe in our own values, then all is lost. There's something about that that's going to offend an awful lot of people, I suspect.
If they read the speech or if they hear it, I'm not sure they will, but I think that is the key. And I would not attribute the sort of lack of faith in our society to our elites. I think it resides more with the left. Now, the left, having had a 50-year program, what they called the March Through the Institutions, had a plan to take over the institutions, the leading ones, the universities, the purveyors of Hollywood, the media, the places where you go to learn, even the museums, for God's sake. And they have succeeded. I wouldn't call that the elites. Yes, they control a lot of the positions of power, but that is the left, and I don't think it applies to conservative elites who have the faith, and I think that was the message of the speech, upholding those. And, you know, as the flip side, that was the most anti-Russian speech since Ronald Reagan. He may have had a few lines on Islamic radicalism, but he was unrelenting in attacking the Russians, which in many ways undoes the vision, the meme, which I think is completely false, of him as essentially an instrument, a Manchurian candidate of the Russians. He not only attacked them for their actions in World War II, he was savage on how they treated the Poles during the 40 years of Cold War, and then he went ahead and basically said, we're here to rescue you from your dependence on Russian gas, because we're not going to use it as a weapon. We're not going to hold you hostage. These people are your enemies. And that was, again, something new and very refreshing.
I think when the history of all this is written, the idea that he's in bed with Putin, while there will be valid criticisms of this administration, that will be the most ludicrous of all. Charles, thanks a lot.